So this is a mid-1960s Fender Super Reverb amp, as you can tell by the black faceplate and the darker grill cloth. This one comes from one of Fender's greatest eras of amplifiers, and I bought this amp from a guy in Stillwater, Oklahoma, who purchased it from a farm estate sale, and allegedly this amp sat in a barn for decades and ended up in pretty rough condition. It had a lot of surface rust on the speaker baskets and even on the transformers, but otherwise it was totally original. It had the original RCA tubes and the Fender labeled CTS Alnico speakers. So I really wanted to hear how this amp sounded. I brought it home, plugged it in, and unbelievably it still worked, but it definitely did not sound as good as it could. So I sent it to my amp guy, who went inside and we replaced a few resistors and capacitors, but it had all the original blue caps inside, which is really what you want. So I thought today we could do a proper demo of this amp and see how it sounded. And I'm going to use my 1959 Stratocaster as well as this 1964 Gibson Firebird. So we have a Gibson and Fender demo. But I want to start out and give you guys a quick test of how this thing sounds and get into a few more interesting details about this amp. So this has got to be one of the sweetest sounding Fender Super Reverbs I've ever played through, and I'd love to hear from you guys what your comment is on the tone of this amp. But I think obviously a big part of that is the original Alnico speakers, which are much lower wattage than a lot of speakers used today, or even the JBLs and others that I use in some of my Fender amps. I think it's got a much warmer, more vintage sound, if you will, and it really brings the overall volume of the amp down, and I think that makes it much more usable for recording purposes. I just think overall this probably sounded better in a recording versus my other Fender amps, even with the original speakers that are probably on their way to a recone, which brings me to this one right here, which I had to pull out because it has a little bit of a rattle right in the center of the speaker here. I would guess that's something to do with the voice coil, but I just wasn't able to get a good recording with it, so I pulled it out for the purpose of this video. And I guess I'll send it off for a recone, so if you know where to do that, please let me know. But it's pretty incredible in looking at the condition of these that they work at all today. So my favorite part about this amp is the built-in tube spring reverb. I think it sounds unbeatable. You just cannot replicate that by twisting knobs on a pedal. And so I want to show you guys on this amp specifically how deep the reverb goes when you really start to turn it up, and you can get lost in it. It's a really cool feature about these old Fenders. So let me show you guys the incredible reverb tones. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Again, what were your thoughts on the tone? And I guess I should say that the 58 Les Paul is safely in possession with my friend Joel, and he's beginning to do some work on the guitar to get it playing and functioning again, and everything is going well so far, so hopefully that continues, and I expect to have it back within a few weeks, and I can finally actually play the guitar, because it was really not playable as it was. So really looking forward to that. And also I've picked up a few more really cool vintage amps, a Gibson Tweed amp from the 50s, and a few more 60s Fender amps that I've never had before that will be really cool to demo here on the channel. So thank you guys very much. As I'm making this video, I'm hovering almost at 100,000 subscribers, and that seems pretty surreal. So if I do hit that, I don't know, that's pretty unbelievable, and I thank you. So all right guys, well, I appreciate you being here and all the support thus far, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.
Wow.